Hi, dear listener. Welcome to the Young Changemakers podcast, an initiative from Global Changemakers. Your co-hosts, Sophie, George, and William are very happy to have you join us today. Over this first season, we'll show you the incredible impact of youth and hopefully inspire you to take action too. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're ready, let's go!
Que dice? What's up, you guys? It's William, your co-host from Guatemala. Wherever you're listening to us, feel very welcome to this episode of the YCM podcast. This is already the 10th episode of the first season. We are very close to finish our first season and very much looking forward to the second one. So please, guys, keep tuned in. I'm very happy that we already have 973 plays, taking into consideration all the episodes that we have released. I'm very much looking forward when we get to the 1,000 plays, and obviously when we get to 10,000 or maybe 50,000 plays someday, hopefully. Alright, so I hope, guys, that your year is kicking off very well. 2020, it arrived. New year, new decade. Am I the only one who thinks that a 20 written on a date looks very cool? That's what I feel right now when I get to see a date. And speaking of a new decade, I want to give a very short speech, but very powerful, to, give you some inspiration on starting your new year. So, first of all, I want to say that in this decade, and even in this year, a lot of things can happen, you guys. I'm not only talking about how much you're gonna learn, how much you're gonna experience, how much you're gonna grow as a person, but also how many breakthroughs, how many important advances on many areas are going to happen in humanity. Imagine all the advances in technology, all the things that are going to happen regarding the climate, the advance on global policies. Maybe there's gonna be a huge breakthrough in medicine or in sustainability, and hopefully at the end of this decade we will be able to see how impactful the 2030 agenda will be. I know that all the people that are listening to this podcast are very much looking forward to that year, 2030, when they're gonna evaluate how impactful and how helpful the 2030 agenda will be, and of course keep all the endeavors on all the areas that are being worked at that moment. I really wish you get closer or you accomplish your goals this decade, and remember that when you get to accomplish your goals, always set new ones. It really doesn't matter how old you are or in what stage of your life you're at that moment. I think you can always set new goals. And also when you get to start working on these goals, inspiration will be with you each time you get to work on that. But as time passes, you're gonna probably not feel the same feeling as you got at the beginning. So try not to seek for inspiration. That would be a piece of advice I can give you. Try not to seek for inspiration each time you're going to work. Inspiration will come along the way while you are already engaged with your work. So yeah, that's my piece of advice for you guys. And right now, let's jump to the introduction. Today I'm interviewing a guy from Santiago, Chile. He's a Latin American guy. His name is Juan José Martín. He's a 23-year-old global changemaker selected back in 2019. He has spent the last 6 years engaging in sustainability, entrepreneurship, and innovation for climate. He's studying civil engineering in Santiago, Chile, and is currently the co-founder and president of CVerde, which is a NPO that focuses on promoting and practicing sustainability. This project that he leads has been recognized by Premios Latinoamérica Verde, which translates into Green Latin American Awards, and they have also been awarded by the National Environmental Award of Chile. It was also the first Young Negotiator for Chile at COP25, which was recently carried out back in December 2019 in Madrid, Spain, and also received a green ticket for the Youth Climate Summit, which was carried out in the UN headquarters in New York back in September 2019. So, guys, I really hope you take away a lot of positive things from this interview. I know it is going to be very enriching, and we're gonna talk some very interesting topics with Juanjo today. So please keep tuned in. Hey Juanjo, how you doing, man? Welcome.
Thank you, Willie.
It's very nice to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure.
It's nice to have you.
Sure. Thanks. How's everything in Chile?
It's going better. It's going all right now. Trying to work on new stuff, trying to get things better.
That's cool, man. And how's the weather right now?
It's actually very, very hot and very dry. We've been in a drought for 10 years already, so it's been very, very difficult with that.
Oh, very hot weather then. Wow. So yes. Something that I didn't mention in the introduction is that you were a ski instructor, or do you still work sometimes as a ski instructor?
Actually, not right now. I got certified a couple of years ago, and I have worked for a couple seasons out there. But I don't actually do it because, you need a little bit of time on your winter vacations to do that. And right now I'm too much into work for sustainability. So I love skiing. So I try to go whenever I can. But I'm not working on that right now. No, not anymore. But if you want, I can give you some lessons.
Gotcha. Cool. If I ever go to Chile, I will for sure contact you, man. Cool. So let's jump to the interview. Do you have any favorite quote that you get to remember when you need some inspiration on your work? Yeah, do you have any favorite quote?
Actually, I'm a big fan of quotes, and I usually like to create my own. So I don't have like this very special one. I use a lot of them actually. Right now, I can remember like everything has a price, or I have this one where I say, "From dreams we live," but also from victories we win. So I have a couple that I like to use, but the one I would like to share is actually not one of my own. It's one of Al Gore, and he says that people that is working in sustainability is always at the edge of the abyssum. And in this abyssum, you have on one side hope, and on the other side despair. And it's always a fight of not falling in any of those, or deciding to fall in any of those. And I really like that, because sustainability, it's all about despair or hope, or a mixture of those two. So that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a very good one. It's like a very specific one, right? Because most of the times that we have been asking for quotes, people give us like general quotes. But in this case, I think it really inclines more to sustainability.
Yeah, well, the way I see sustainability is a very broad, and it is at the very base of everything we should be doing. So I don't necessarily feel that sustainability is a very particular area. I feel it that is a broad theme that you have to put on every single aspect of your life. So to me, it is a very general quote, but it is not seen as that.
Yeah, no, not at all, I think. So as you're very engaged in sustainability and climate change, I imagine that throughout your life, especially in your teen years, you realized that an NPO, like the one you are leading now, was needed among your community, and especially among young people, right? University students. So if you remember, tell us what inspired you to be part of the team that co-founded CVerde, and why you committed to be part of it.
Actually, it was friendship. We never thought of like seriously creating a whole career out of a nonprofit organization. But friendship united us at that time, and we just felt we were doing something we all wanted to engage with, and we all wanted to put our efforts, energy, and smiles into it. So we just went through it mainly because of friendship. And I feel it's very important when you get into, it doesn't necessarily have to be sustainability or climate change topics, but whenever you want to create something new, I think teamwork and good friendship bonds are really, really important for that.
Yeah, right. Because when time starts to pass, that's what really makes you to stay with that people, right? And to comprehend maybe when the difficult times come, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the bond that make you all together through the hard times too.
Yeah, I getcha. And what were the very first things you started doing with CVerde? Do you remember?
Oh yes. The very first things we started doing were mainly education in terms of sustainability and tree planting.
Cool.
Those were like our very first steps. Because when you start in this world, I mean, when you start in any world, you start from the very, I would say, the easiest part of it or the basics, and then you start to turn into more complex
Yeah.
stuff. So for us, the more basic stuff were tree planting. That, as basic as it is crucial for this
Yeah.
fight, you know.
Yeah.
And environmental education. That was something we realized we knew a little bit more than the average people. So why not share it, right?
So when you talk about education, educate people with sustainability, you mean like talks in the uni, or like trying to spread the word on social media or something like that?
It is a mixture of those things.
Mm.
A lot of talks, a lot of lessons. Actually, we we prepare some classes. Sometimes a lot of workshops. I
Mhm.
would say mainly workshops.
Cool.
And yeah, also through social media. Social media is today like the newspaper of the young.
Yeah, yeah.
So social media, we use it a lot to try to share as much information as we can.
Oh, I see. And when you talk about tree planting, I imagine that really needs a bit of logistics, right? To get all the trees and then organize, get all the people together and go to the place where you're going to plant the trees. Is it like a very challenging thing, although it may sound like a very easy like task?
Actually, actually, it is very easy, but I want to share something that is very, very important. It's crucial when you start doing something that you haven't done before. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of organizations out there that already do a lot of stuff. So what we did at that time, we just contact one of those organizations that was uh, planting trees for already a lot of years. So we contact them, we told them about us, and we say, hey, we want to plant trees with you. Let's,
Cool.
collaborate. And
I get
that's what we did.
you. Okay.
So
Yeah,
what's
like
easiest? They already have all the information, knowledge, and logistics. We just put our effort into it and just start to build from there.
so you were joining now as a team, right? That's what I understand.
Yeah,
Cool.
as a collaboration between
Uh-huh.
organizations.
Cool. That's really cool to start making bonds since the beginning, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is crucial.
Yeah, yeah. I also read on your CV that CVerde has been awarded with this Premios Latinoamérica Verde, which translates into Green Latin American Awards. Congrats on that, by the way. Can you please tell us what projects were you working to be deserving of this award, or do you send like a request to be part of the nominees, or how does this work?
Well, thank you for that. Actually, Premios Latinoamérica Verde has these awards in different categories. But they also have like a list of recognition for projects in the Latin American region, and we've been recognized by the awards, but we haven't received the award itself. So that's a little thing to correct that. But what we actually we had to apply for our project to be in the awards, and we use actually I use Operaciones CVerde project to apply those 2 years. And Operaciones CVerde is a project that through volunteering work teaches sustainability and climate change while doing ecosystems remediation in some area in Chile. So we started working and learning how to remediate an ecosystem. Usually we work with wetlands, and then we took people, volunteer people, put them there, taught them how to remediate an ecosystem, especially a wetland. And while they were working through volunteering work for, let's say, 4 days in a row. So it was a very involving experience, because they all were sleeping with us in a school, for example. So we had a lot of different teaching and education classes and workshops, and even talks and conversations between ourselves to try to be, in this journey of sustainability and environmental remediation through these days, through volunteering work. So we put that into applying for the Premios Latinoamérica Verde. That is a huge award for all Latin American region projects. And I think they have more than 3,000 projects that try to apply. And then they chose the 500 best of them. And in different categories, 500 best of them in all categories. And then in each category, between those 500, you have like a new rank too. And we always focus on biodiversity category. So we were top 10 and top 100 on the first year. And then we also went into the 500 best projects of the region with that project. So that was it. And we actually traveled to Ecuador. The premios are take place in Ecuador. And we traveled there, and we make a talk about our project in front of a lot of people, and that was recorded and stuff. So it was a very nice experience. It's 3 days of event there. So if anyone by any means can go there to the event, I think it's a very nice experience to go.
So you don't need any invitation to assist.
I mean,
yes. You do need,
if you wanna, you have to be one of those recognized projects to give a talk or something like that. But you can just go and work there as a normal person, planning the events. Yeah, you can do that.
And now that you mentioned that, like 500 projects, that's a lot, right?
Yes.
Well, it sounds like a lot, but it's only in the Latin American region, right?
Yes. But those are the ones they choose, but the ones that are apply are more than 3,000.
Wow.
And they are not even, they are a very small amount of projects comparing to the huge amount of projects that we have in the Latin American region. This award have been becoming bigger with the years, but still not a lot of people in the sustainability world knows about the award. I mean, a lot of people knows it, but a lot of people do not. So there are a lot of more projects out there that can apply to.
Yeah, because I was taking a look at the website, and I saw that some Guatemalan projects were recognized last year, but at least I didn't hear anything. Like, I mean, it doesn't has like this much, how do you say it? Like, it's not like very recognizable among the population, I think, because
I mean, it's not like the Oscars,
yeah, something like that. It's like the Oscars for sustainability projects, right?
Yeah, it is, but
yeah, it's just a matter of time. I think that.
I think so too.
Yeah,
and I hope so too.
Yeah, for sure. And Now that you mentioned Operaciones CVerde, are you working on any project or initiative right now within the organization?
Well, right now I'm the president of it, and very focused on the profession, making the organization a very strong professional one. So I'm not working on one of our projects right now. I'm more into management and
Gotcha.
representation, because what I am doing, besides projects and besides the role of president, I am engaging in a lot of political stuff representing the organization, but not non-partisan politics. I'm
I
not
get you.
saying part of a political movement. No, we always get out of that. We don't like it, but we do like to have a political role. So I've been working on building a political agenda and contacts, so we
It's really
can
cool.
more in terms of sustainability and public policies. So yeah, I've been mainly focusing on that, also
Gotcha.
because I've been working with our government and United Nations,
Mhm.
especially this past year.
Cool. So your main approach on politics right now is not like being, as you said, like being from the right or from the left, but most like focusing on spreading the word of how sustainability is needed in society and working with that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even talk about right or left. I don't.
Mhm.
I think that's completely obsolete.
Yeah, up and
Um,
down and
Yeah, I don't really care actually. I just go there and say, hey, sustainability is the base of everything. We have to
yeah.
build an agenda for that.
Hi there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We just wanted to let you know that we are on social media at WeAreGCM, and don't hesitate to follow us. And if you'd like to support us further, we also have a Patreon page. Type in Global Changemakers and decide which tier is best for you. Thank you, and now on with the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, cool. So now we're moving to a different kind of topic now. Like if you could share with us a big challenge you faced and how you overcome it. It could be like something personal if you want to share it, or something that has to do with CVerde or any of these projects that you mentioned.
I think if I took the time for it, I could find a lot of things, because I think in this road we'll face a lot of
Mhm.
big challenges. But I feel I have to be honest. The first thing that comes to my mind is the death of my dad. My dad died. So yeah, that was a huge step to overcome in life. And actually it teaches you a lot.
Yeah,
And
I
I feel
imagine.
like suffering and death itself can teach you a lot of things about life.
Yeah,
So I really feel it had a lot of bad impacts on myself, but at the very end of the road, after years, it was a huge challenge I had to overcome. But after that, I totally grew stronger and had a very different, and I would think, richer view of life.
gotcha. Well, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So going back to the topics we were discussing about sustainability, I mentioned the UN Youth Summit and Climate Action Summit, which was carried out back in September 2019 in the UN headquarters. So I'm very curious about the what topics were mainly discussed on the summit. I mean, its focus was sustainability, right? But if you could get like a bit more specific of about the topics that were discussed, and were your expectations from the summit as you expected, or you got any different result or something like that?
Um, yeah, well, Yeah, so you had these. There were three summits actually. So you have, yes, the UN Youth Summit, then the Climate Action Summit, and then you have this very regular summit that is the General Assembly. That is not a summit; it's the General Assembly of the United Nations, right? They were all three in a row. So I got elected as green ticket. This was the first time ever that the Secretary General chose green tickets, young green tickets, to attend all those summits. And I think most of us that I'm going to talk about me in this, especially me, we're going there trying to learn as much as possible of this process while trying to understand how the political will of the world unites and share stories about the environment or sustainability and climate change, as I like to call climate crisis. So it was, I think it was more about making a diagnostic about the political will in the world than going there to, let's say, to engage in something specifically special or try to create a new step into it. Because I feel more, most young people, when goes to this kind of events, very political events and very, international service, international cooperation organizations events, it's always about learning how they do it, what they want, what they say and what they don't, and don't believe in them. It's about going there, look at them, hear them, and then come back and say, hey, this is what they say, that is not what they do. We have to improve our work in our organizations back home or in our countries or in, let's say, our different collaborations with other organizations from other countries or parts of the world. So I think what they talk there, it is mainly, mainly presidents of countries going up and saying, my country is committed because we've been doing this stuff. And then the other president comes in and say, my country is also committed because we've been doing this. So the Climate Action Summit, it's about that. That's about it. Presidents telling people what they have done and what they plan to do. The UN Youth Summit was more about, hey, youth, come together, get to know yourselves. They put a couple speakers out there. But I have to say, we are very thankful for the first time ever UN Youth Summit of the Secretary General, but it wasn't very helpful at all. I think they didn't comprehend where we are at this moment. We are much more ahead of what they think we are in terms of information, in terms of engaging.
Gotcha.
So I think that they took us a little bit in a light way, and they should take us more seriously. That's my opinion in Youth Summit. I think the summit was not really helpful itself, but it helped to bring people together, and that's something that is always something you
Very
can find
important.
and have to take. And then, yeah, and General Assembly is basically different countries talking with the Secretary General. In this case, specific, a lot of climate change talks. And I think it's important that those events are held, but I think it's more something to go there and, hey, I went there, I know how it works, I know what they talk, nothing changes. We have to keep working.
So would you say that something that maybe could have helped in the youth summit is that if they could have gone more specifically among topics instead of just talking very general, because maybe like that you would have felt like they were trying to, talk about the topics that most of the young people are working on right now and not like more in general speaking.
Yeah, yes, of course. That's basically uh, where I think they
Gotcha.
should talk more technical when they talk to youth. They
Okay.
should be more practical because youth already know what they're talking, most of us, because we have internet. Internet teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
So you have to become technical and you have to become practical because that's what we need and that's what we demand right now.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so, and are you working on another projects now besides the one you already talked, or do you want to share something else, or do you want to get more specifically about, Operaciones CVerde, or this group you are working on that has to do with politics or something like that?
Yeah, I'm also working on a couple topics. Actually, I'm not in charge of Operaciones CVerde anymore because we designed this way of allowing people to be in charge of this project, changing every 2 years, so more people can become empowered, and you have this experience of
I
learning
see.
in volunteering and environmental remediation
That's a very cool
uh,
thing.
as a journey for a lot of people, not just a couple. So I'm not in charge of that anymore, but the project is still on. In terms of politics, um, I'm engaged in that, representing CVerde. So a lot of people in CVerde is also getting into that world because we are we see it as a new way of creating new stuff to new solutions, new things to overcome this fight we're on. But personally, I'm working right now actually with the help of global changemakers, um, of building a company with a partner that we sustainabilize educational institutions. But in terms of infrastructure and in terms of education, so we're going to schools here in Chile and we build sustainable infrastructure for them so they become more sustainable in their logistics every day. But we also allow them to use that infrastructure to teach educational environmental sustainability topics. So we are trying to build this company that allows schools, not only schools, universities, doesn't really matter, but we are starting with schools to not only become sustainable, but also teach sustainability using their own infrastructure. So that's something very big I'm working on right now with the help of global changemakers. And you also have a lot of different projects always going on, and
Yeah, I think
we
so.
always wish to have 30 hours a day instead of 24. But I'm actually also working on trying to build um, two new schools that I want to bring in Chile. One is of Young Negotiators for COP processes. So I had this extremely great experience of becoming the first Young Negotiator for a COP
Yeah,
process for
congrats, man.
Chile. And I want to share that with all young people from my country, well, of the world, but especially in my country. So I want to start to build on, let's say, a little school for young, so they can become young negotiators too. And
Cool.
I'm also want to build a school with another partner that I met at the COP processes, actually, for empowering youth to become part of their local governments. So how to teach youth to become engaged in local governments, local policies, so we can start to participate as much as we can, and we don't always wait for older people to become, let's say, mayors of. We call them alcaldes or stuff like that. So let's put youth in power. So we are trying to build some sort of a workshops, schools, to try to teach people, young people, how to get there and how to push for the right things. But those are projects, I'm still working on them, but a lot of ideas on my mind, as
Yeah,
you have
besides
seen,
those
right?
projects, right? I
Exactly.
imagine. Wow, so keep up the work. It sounds very interesting. Actually, all the ideas really
Thank you.
empowering and really trying to bring together all young people so that they become involved and they actually feel like they're, you know, like supporting their local communities and all of that. Yeah,
Exactly.
really nice, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
So, as you just mentioned, you were the first young negotiator for Chile at COP25 in Madrid. Uh, this COP25 was carried out back in November, right? 2019? Or
December, actually.
December? December?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So, you know, for the people out there who don't have a clear idea what COP actually means, uh, tell us a bit more about that. And also, um, you know, I saw a tweet actually from the Secretary General that he was not very satisfied with the results of, you know, this COP. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I would like to, you know your comments and opinions on that too.
Yeah, well, I have to mention before getting to that I got there especially thanks to a great agenda that we built with the COI team. The COI is the Conference of Youth, the Global Conference of Youth for Climate Change, and we had this. It is called core team of Chilean NGOs because COP25 was held by Chile, even though they changed it to Madrid. So we had this team of COI 15. We make COI 15 work. We make it happen. First COI with the assistance of Secretary General of United Nations. So that's huge. So in that role, I was a general coordinator for that. In that role, we built an agenda that allow us to become eventually, two of us become the first young negotiators of Chile, me and Bernie. So in that role, we got to negotiate some stuff at COP. COP, it is not at all an easy process. It is very, very political. This COP didn't accomplish what it was expected. I had a little bit of luck though, because I negotiated an item that is called capacity building, and that was achieved. So
Cool.
I negotiated the item that was achieved. So for me, it was a personal success, but
Yeah.
the COP as process and as an event didn't accomplish what was expected, especially, you know, Article 6. That is mainly, and the most important part of it is about the international carbon markets. So COP25 was, I would say, a very accidental event in terms of it was going to be held on Chile.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
because of the whole social crisis we have right now here, they had to change it. But that change actually changed a lot of things in the event.
Oh, really? Like what? What changed
Like,
it? Like the agenda? The
not the negotiations agenda, but for sure the agenda of the civil society. That was for sure something that was hugely changed and hugely diminished. And it also changed the political aspect of it, because COP20 COPs in general are mainly technical negotiations in terms of an event. It's a more technical event, but or it should be a more technical event, but it has become a very political event with the years. And when you have something like this COP organized in a country, and then political scenario changes to another one, then your political role as president of COP, and I'm talking about Chile here and the ministry, it is damaged. Not necessarily because of them, but because of the situation. The political scenario it changes, you know. And COP, it has become a very, very political event shouldn't be that way. Should be technical, should be scientific.
So, as it is very convenient to plan for the future, and especially because you're the president, you're leading this NPO, which is CVerde. Tell us what are your plans for the future? How do you see CVerde, let's say, in 5 or 10 years? How much involvement of youth you expect to have in your organization?
Well, actually, we plan for CVerde being a huge empowering organization, so all young can go in and learn how to dedicate their professional lives to sustainability, and well, so achieving great victories in terms of sustainability in different countries. We plan to be an international NGO, and we plan to, our goal is to really solve the climate and ecosystems crisis. So as much as we can grow and as much as we can accomplish, that's where we plan to be.
The better. Okay, so your plans are to expanding also to another countries.
Yes, eventually, but we are focusing right now on building a strong organizational in Chile, and having that, we plan to go into other countries too, and build new, let's say, offices there. Always with the goal of achieving more sustainability in the world. It is not about our it is not about our organization growing just because we want it to be bigger. It's because we really feel that the way we see sustainability and climate change should be spread, because we can therefore achieve sooner solution to this crisis.
So for the moment, you guys are only like making all these programs you mentioned in Santiago, or are you working in other cities of Chile?
We are focused on Santiago in terms of our members, but the different projects we have, they are not focused on Santiago. They are focused on the whole country. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. Well, at least that's a very big first step, right? It's expanding.
Well, hopefully so. And through, COI, as I mentioned before, we've been engaged already with international work. So we already plan to go further.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys can make it to other countries and keep expanding.
Thank you.
So now for the last question, we would like to hear a piece of advice from you to someone that is maybe interested into engaging with their community and try to work, let's say, in sustainability or just being a volunteer. What would you say to them to have the courage to start in this very wide topic that we discuss in all the episodes?
I would say we have to understand that we are living now in the information era. So as the information era is going on, we have the power of educating ourselves just using internet. So you don't need anyone to tell you you don't know anything. You can just go up there, educate yourself, and get out there with confidence. And the best way, this is very cliche, but the best way of learning always is by doing. So if you don't feel you have the skills, go up in the internet and look for them. And if you feel that you already have them, just go for it, because it always seems more complicated than it actually is. Things are complex, but not necessarily complicated. Much of the work we've been doing with CVerde and much of the work I've been doing with my life in the other projects I've been involved with, it's all about, I don't know how to do it, but I know it needs to be done. It needs to be done. So because it needs to be done, I have to do it no matter what. So I start to do it. While I start to learn. Some things are not just a life or death topic sometimes. So for instance, it doesn't matter if you fail recycling something. So you don't need to worry so much. You just start and do it. And then it doesn't matter if you fail planting one tree. So you don't need to worry so much. Just go and do it. And while you start to build on, you're going to start to feel confident enough, and you're going to have the skills to do those things that are life or death things, and you're going to accomplish them. It is all about, I mean, I don't feel like I can give a very new advice, because it is really about just educating yourself through the internet and just do it. Have the confidence of learning by doing. And something that I would like to share is friendship is crucial if you feel sometimes that you're not prepared. If you have a friend that is also not prepared, but you both want the same thing, then it's easier, because you both tell yourselves you are prepared, that you are not, you are actually not, but it doesn't matter because you tell yourselves you are. So friendship help you take these steps that in other way you wouldn't take it because you're not confident enough.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. So you would say like it's a combination of having the willing to do the things, but also encouraging yourself to go out there, right? That
Yes,
like...
and actually, and to become ambitious in the good meaning of the word. Ambition is great, and you have the tools right now on the internet to make that ambitions you have come true. You don't need anything else. You just put your time into it. It's gonna take you a lot of time, yes, but if you study, if you are ambitious, and if you learn, you're gonna be able to do it. That's it.
Yeah, just as simple as that.
It actually
Right.
is. It actually is. I have learned way more on the internet and by doing that on my university.
Oh, wow. Yeah, actually, that's what happens. You know, you cannot only focus on one thing now, knowing that there are a lot of things, and this tool called internet helps us to get informed. Yeah, absolutely agree. Okay, man. So thank you. This interview was very, very enriching in terms of, you know, getting to know more things about you and also about your projects and how well your projects are going. So good luck in all of that, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Willie, and hopefully so it helps a lot of people.
If you'd like to know more about Global Changemakers and our mission of enabling youth to create a positive impact in their communities, you can visit our website at global-changemakers.net or follow us on social media at WeAreGCM. And if you'd like to support us further, go check out our Patreon page at Global Changemakers and help us have a greater impact. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Young Changemakers. See you next Tuesday.